He got so beside himself that he wanted to create this world system. And then he couldn't create it on his own because that's not the being that he was. He's not a creator. So he decided that he would take what heaven does and he would try to simulate it in the earth. And what happens is now we have a whole culture of people, believers as well as unbelievers, that are following a system, that are ascribing to a system, and we don't always know what the root of that system is. That's why it's important to know the character of God. Tell somebody you got to know the character of God. Got to know the character of God. The only way to know the character of God is through relationship. So we're talking about relationship here for a little bit. Relationship brings us to a place where we know how God works. Brings us to a place where we know how God works. A lot of times when we are in ourselves and in our flesh, a lot of times we look at our situations and we begin to believe that God is not with us. It's a lie. A lot of times we begin to look at how things are operating around us. How is it, God, that I can't make ends meet from one month to the next month? How is it, oh God, that I can't seem to keep the things that I need to take care of? I'm paying my tithes. At least I'll try to pay my tithe. I'm trying to pay my offering. I'm trying to do the things that you say are right for me to do, and I'm trying to live this life. Why is it, God, that I struggle? Now, the world will tell you you're struggling because you're not doing it on your own. You're not doing it good enough. That's what the world will tell us. If something is not working, what do? You stop it and you go to something else. If God ain't working for you, the world will tell you, get out of there. Come over here. I'll put you on this corner and we'll get some money in your pocket. That's how the world works. The world trains its soldiers that when the thing that you are trying to do doesn't work for you, you go by any means necessary and you make that money. That's what the world teaches us. However, when we're in the kingdom, God looks at suffering and trials a whole nother way. Tell somebody, we get ready to walk into a Dothan Dimension. Suffering and trials are not necessarily, it's not necessarily an indication that you're doing the wrong thing. Suffering and trials, being brought down to a place where you can't feel God, or where you can't hear God, or where you can't see God, does not mean that you are doing the wrong thing. Tell somebody, keep on doing what you're doing. If you're seeking Him, keep on doing what you're doing. We learn in our text Joseph, who was this young boy. And the Bible tells us a lot about Joseph. We know the big things that Joseph did. We know that Joseph was sent to Potiphar's house. And when he was in Potiphar's house, the wife of Potiphar decided that she was going to do some stuff to Joseph. And Joseph got out of that. And then Joseph became the captain of the governor of Egypt under Pharaoh. And we know of all of those big things that Joseph did. I want to talk a little bit about the journey that it took for Joseph to get there. The Bible says that Joseph was his father's favorite son. He was his child of old age, the Bible calls it. And you know how we are. We have a child after a certain age and our patience has leveled off. So we can deal with that child a little bit better than we were able to deal with the others. So Joseph came along at a good time in his dad's life. He got favor from his father's favor above all of his brothers. Well, this put Joseph in a bad spot, because what happens when you're in a household of kids and you show one child a little more attention than you show the next one? It starts to stir up the chemistry of the house. So Joseph, who was loved so much by his father, he had a calling of God on his life. Tell somebody, you don't like me, but I can't help it. That's what God gave me. You might not like the fact that when I come into the house of God, I can't keep my mouth shut. You might not like that I have a praise every time, but that's the way that God made me. I can't help it. Well, Joseph was a dreamer. He couldn't help that. But his brothers didn't see it that way. How dare you, the youngest of us, stand before us and tell us that we're going to bow down to you? Who are you?